We've looked at why quick quizzes are useful and how they can be used, so let's look at the mechanics of setting an automatically marked quick quiz right now. You can set a quick quiz from our library and from the course planner in one of your classes, or you can use the Assessments tab as I'm doing right here. When you click on the Assessments tab and then click the Assign button, you'll get a couple of options available to you. One is to use our pre-built assessments, or you get the option to set an automatically marked quick quiz, and that's what we'll do today. The dialog box is very similar to assigning a simple lesson. In the same way that I can for a lesson, I can assign to an entire class, I can assign to a number of different classes if I wanted to, or I could assign within one single class and assign to specific students. So I have complete flexibility in terms of who gets this particular assessment, and it's very easy to then modify an assessment for a particular group of students. I can set the date and time, which might be as narrow as the time for a particular lesson, or a much wider window to allow multiple classes to use the same assessment. And from there, we go on to select the content that I'm going to use for this quiz. Here I've clicked into the library and I'm in the Year 7 Australian Curriculum Science, and I've chosen 4 lessons here on changing states, which I'm going to give to my Year 7 class. And as soon as I've chosen those 4 lessons, you can see that the system has grayed out the information slides and also the longer answer questions that would need marking by me, and just left us with the automatically marked short form questions like multiple choice, drag and drop, fill in the blanks and the like. I can preview these questions in detail and remove particular sections or individual questions if I choose, but if I'm happy with that selection, and often I am, I'll just confirm that and go back to my assignment window. Now I've got 66 questions available to me here. I'm not going to use all of those for a Year 7 quick quiz, and so I'll select a certain number that I give my class. 20 seems like a reasonable number. That's going to take them about 10 or 15 minutes to complete, and that's absolutely fine. That means that the system will choose 5 questions from each of those 4 lessons at random. At the moment it's generating a unique assessment for each student. I can choose to give them all the same 20 questions if I want to be able to compare them more accurately one against the other. I can give them a time limit or not. For Year 7s I'd very often turn that off, and what I would always do is simply change the title to something very non-threatening, so that none of my anxious students get worried about the fact that they are, in inverted commas, failing a science test. Now this is the real heart of the quick quiz engine. Every single question on the platform is tagged to the curriculum area that it came from, which means if students don't perform well in a particular area, they're struggling in a particular area of the curriculum, the system will recognize that. If they don't meet the particular threshold that you've set, and by default that's set as 70%, we can change that if we wish, then the system will flag that up and recommend some work for students in that area, which means that you don't have to allocate the same work to all of your students. You can automatically construct an individual learning pathway for each student and assign those automatically as a task, so that each student gets the recommended work for them as their classwork or their homework. You've got complete control over that, of course. You can turn that off and review them manually, or you can simply choose to limit the amount of work that's available to them. And so if I was doing this for my Year 7 class, I might limit that to 1 hour if I was feeling kind and generous. Finally, we've got a number of options that you can use to control the way that the quiz is accessed, or the communication that goes out about that quick quiz. So using an access code if you've got multiple classes is useful. If you want to run it in full screen mode, which is our default, then if students tab away from that full screen, you'll know about it. You can choose to withhold the results if you wish to have a look at them before you release them. There are additional calculator and text-to-speech spell check tools that you can use should you wish. And then there are various communications options, one of which I found particularly useful was the ability to automatically email students' parents about an assessment, particularly for those students where the parents have asked to be kept in close contact with a student's performance or the work that's allocated to them. So with a few extra wrinkles, setting a quick quiz is no more difficult than setting a simple lesson, but has a huge amount of power built in terms of the insight that you'll gain as a teacher. Give them a go.